start with you, Greg Hunter.
Jahmile, your corners were the most inexperienced part of your defense heading into the season. So just give me an assessment of their progress. What have you seen from them as the years gone by?
Yeah, I would agree. I think coming into the season, not very many people expected much from them. Some outside the program, maybe even some in. And I think that they've shown their ability to compete within the conference. And I think the one thing that we ask our guys to do, whether it be offensively, defensively, or even special teams wise, is continue to get better throughout the season. And I'm pretty encouraged by their ability to do that thus far. And they just work hard. They come to work every week. They take what I give them and they try their butts off to make it happen on game day. And they've had some decent success doing so.
Cody Nesper.
Hey, Jahmile. You've talked a couple times this season about having to kind of scrounge up film on opposing quarterbacks.
Right.
With someone like Ellinger, is it possible to have too much film on a guy?
Never. That is impossible. And I think what you don't want to do is to have too much. You don't want to give too much information. As a coach, you want to draw as much information out of film, out of really you guys, the media, out of wherever you can get it from. But when you pass it to your players, you want to make sure that you filter it and you give them what's necessary as opposed to a watered-down version or maybe too much information. And so what we do is we get kind of a skeleton of what the opposition is going to be, and then from there we pick and choose what we think is most important in terms of our preparation and what they need to know, and then move forward from there.
John Antonik.
Curious, with a guy like Ellinger who can beat you with his feet and can beat you with his arms, there's only so long you can expect your guys to hang with wide receivers. So what do you do to try to disrupt it? I know sometimes he's at his best when he's scrambling to his right and he's making plays on the run.
Right.
What can you do?
What can you do? You've got to play the second play. We always talk about two different plays, right? There's the first play, which is a called play, and then the second play, which is the scramble, which is the offense by accident, which is him just going and making a play on his own. And he's got the targets that also are able to make those plays downfield. So for us, it all comes back to effort and really not necessarily a disruption of the initial play. We obviously want to match routes, right? And if you do that, it gives you a chance to really extend the play and allow our defensive line to get after him. From there. But for us, it's mostly effort in your eyes in terms of being able to eliminate the explosive plays that come from a quarterback like himself who can really make people miss and extend the play beyond what it should have been.
Curious, is there a way with pressure that you can force him to his left? He's an experienced guy and he seems to be pretty elusive.
Right.
Is that possible?
Yeah, I mean, you can devise a scheme to probably get just about anything that you want out of it, but when you get something, you give up something else, as we know. And so, I don't know that you can necessarily, dictate where he goes or how he goes. It's just that you've got to be ready for all of those scenarios. We'll continue to try to put people in his face, push the pocket, get him off his spot. And Jordan's done a good job with just about every quarterback that we've seen over the last 2 years of doing that, and I would expect that to be no different this week.
Greg Hunter.
So, Jahmile, in terms of coaching Alonzo and what Dante does it on a daily basis, but just coaching, they always say you're tougher on your son when you coach him. Do you find yourself coaching him different, or at least having to pull the reins back because of your relationship with him?
Absolutely. It's the reason I don't want to coach my own kids. I've got two little athletes at home, Ajman and Aiden, and I wouldn't want to coach them either. I just think it's different. It's different for me. I'm so entrenched in it, and I'm passionate about it, not only the game, but obviously where we're at. And, him being a family member, I'm definitely, keeping an extra eye on him and probably a little bit tougher on him than anyone else. And so I try to remove myself, not obviously scheme-wise, I'm there, but I try to remove myself really from the day-to-day with him as much as possible. Obviously, that's inevitable at points in time. And then there are some times where I go seek him out to give him information that he needs to have. But as I've said all along, Dante's done a heck of a job with him week in and week out, and we'll continue to do so. It's funny enough you ask that question. There's times where I may tell Dante to go tell him something because the delivery is going to be a little bit better coming from Dante than it probably would be from me.
Chuck Landon.
Jahmile, talk about Jahmile Miller's performance last week and his improvement during this season.
Yeah, I'm proud of Dre. You know, when I talk or think about Dre, it's kind of one of those things where as a coach, you don't necessarily, I wouldn't say dream it up, but we all get into this for common reasons. None of us have gotten into it for the money or the stardom or the lights, so to speak, but more so for our love of the game and really the opportunity to mentor guys and bring them along. And Dre, from the time I come in until now, is light years different from off the field or on the field. He's made quite the maturation in both areas. He's not done yet. There's still quite a bit to be had. But you talk about a guy who fought back from injury, has been in the junior college ranks, and so he's like Alonzo in the sense where he's got his own story, and he got a chance to sit around last year and really get better, not necessarily physically but mentally. He became a student of the game, and up until then, that was probably his shortcoming, was what he knew. And so I think he made really good use of last year, not being able to play with the knee injury and the surgery, and really getting into his book. I remember there was a point in time where I would ask Dre things in our meetings, and he would literally look for a hole to crawl into. And now I have to preface the question with, Dre, don't answer this because I want to get the answer from someone else because he's so tuned in. And I just, I hope and pray that he continues to grow the way he is. He's a fighter. He's been competing his butt off this year, and last week was the fruits of his labor. And I'd like to hope he keeps coming in that way. Be really good for us.
Mike Kazaza.
Yeah, kind of continuing on there with the two corners, just watching them pounce, whether in zone or just seeing something last week. I'm imagining that's been great for you, but has that ability to identify and just jump on stuff, I don't know, is that surprising for guys who haven't played as much? They picked it up as quickly.
Yeah.
And then secondly, you have like 5 cornerbacks playing in the defensive backfield. It seems like even the safeties seem like they have cornerback skills or backgrounds too. How much of that is a key to the success back there?
Yeah. To answer your first question, I do think that our guys are playing proactively as opposed to reactively. And again, we can beat ourselves, our chest about it, but our guys are really putting in the effort. I'd come into a film session at the beginning of the week and ask my guys, hey, what do you know about him? And a year ago, I don't know that they would have all been able to tell me any useful information, whereas now, they're coming in on Monday knowing the basic nutshell of what it is that they're going to see, which shows that they're putting in the time and they're invested in it. And so anytime you do that, whether it be athletically or just in life, right, it's no different than studying for that test. When you've studied your butt off, it's like, give me that test, hurry up before I forget this information, And they've got kind of that same mindset. I think they work their butts off in the week defensively, not just on the defensive back end, but in general. And so on game day, it's almost like hurry up and let's play this thing because we're dialed in and know where it's going. And so we've been able to do that, again, not just my guys, but defensively in general. The safeties have been elite there as well. And then your second question, we play quarters, and a lot of times, especially within the college ranks, your safeties are put on an island in themselves. If you're playing quarters and they run 4 people vertical, what is it? It's man coverage. And so, again, you've got to have guys back there who can cover. And so even in recruiting, your mindset may change a bit where, the days of the old school slug hitting safety, probably more reminiscent of myself, wouldn't be able to play these days or play in this game. But yeah, all 4 guys, all 5 on the back end have to be able to cover and do it at an elite fashion when they're asked to.
Greg?
So Jahmile, they moved you to linebacker, so don't worry about it. You'd had a spot